Hey, 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 and welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Banners podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. Today's amazing guest is Miss Marisa Beach, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapist located in Tennessee. She is also the founder in Peace in Mind Counseling, and she's coming with us today to talk about imposter syndrome. Specifically, we're going to be highlighting single parenthood, especially with strong Black women. So, Miss Marisa, we will turn it over to you right now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I feel very welcomed. I appreciate you so much for having me here.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have so much to offer. I'm actually looking at your website right now, yourpeacecounseling.com, and we'll make sure that we leave a note for that in the bullet so that our clients can find you. But tell us a little bit about Peace in Mind Counseling and how you got started with that.
Yes, ma'am. So I started Peace of Mind Counseling in 2023. My first client I actually saw on Friday the 13th, 2023.
What an amazing way to start.
Right. So that was pretty funny. Since then, I have been working with adults 18 to 64. I work with couples. I work with individuals. I work with family units. So if there's this adult sibling set that's struggling, I have worked with that type of family system. So basically, I've been working in therapy as far as trauma since I graduated college.
Love
Master's
it.
degree, and it's just I try to kind of move away from it, but it's just something that I think I gravitate towards because of my own personal traumatic experiences as a kid, and also because I know we can work our way out of it. So my goal is to make people feel less crazy and more empowered with their traumatic experiences. So that's the goal for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And you said something very important. You said make people feel less crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe, and you can kind of fill me in on this, but do we as a group of people, and by we, I mean our people, do we kind of look at trauma as crazy, like as if we're crazy?
I think the symptoms of trauma makes us feel crazy. So I think trauma itself is something that as a people, we do not readily accept because we do have those dysfunctional family messages of whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. So, and we also have a fear of outside systems like DCS and all those things. So there's a fear that whatever happens and it gets out, then it's going to break up the family. So I think that, when it comes to anxiety or depression or whatever the symptoms are that comes from our traumatic experiences, we want to dial them down. We want to eliminate them as much as possible. We use religion as a huge crutch when it comes to things. And while spirituality is a great tool, it doesn't eliminate, the hurt and the pain. And so as a people, I think we're still, even in 2026, struggling with the stigma of therapy and the fact that if you are in therapy, you're broken. There's something wrong with you. Why can't you just get over it? That happened years ago. So I still see that even with the adults that I work with when it comes to their family of origin, there's still this disconnect between, the mental wellness and just kind of moving on with our lives and ignoring the problem.
Right. Where do you think, I think as a whole, we see that, but do you think that there were some historical patterns in our community that make that even more of an issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the prevailing belief is that, and I've actually heard people actually say this to me, it's like therapy's for white people, therapy's for the African, therapy's for people that can afford it, because we don't understand that you can, everybody essentially can be afforded therapy. It's not a luxury item, right? It's not like a yacht.
Right.
It's very readily available. And so I think just the mindset that, only the privileged few should be able to sit in front of a therapist is really, even in 2026, is still a thing. Like, and I actually, on my YouTube channel, I just did a little blurb about, okay, yeah, you can afford therapy. Like everybody, there shouldn't be a barrier when it comes to mental health and mental wellness, especially related to cost. But that's something that we can say, like, I can't afford it. But like I said in my video, but we got those Chris Brown and Usher tickets.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got that. Yes. You can afford that.
Yes. Right. So it's all about what you deem to be important and what you deem to be relevant to your care and your wellness. So I think I just think there's something that we struggle with. We just don't think about mental wellness as being a thing that we need to care about.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, as we talked about, we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome, specifically with strong Black women. And I think this is a really great opportunity to highlight that because, as Black women, especially single Black women who have, sometimes multiple children, but even just one, taking care of that child on a single income. How does this all fit in? Because, on the one hand, we do say it's not a luxury, at least it shouldn't be a luxury, but some people might. In North Carolina, the average therapist is $120 an hour. And if you do have to choose between putting shoes on your child's feet and $120 commitment a week, when a lot of us are only making maybe $40,000, even that might be a splurge.
Right.
How do we kind of address some of that?
Well, I think that, again, it's just like understanding the resources, right? Understanding what you can do. And, typically, and I'm not stereotypically, but a lot of single mothers do have access to Medicaid because of income. So Medicaid does offer behavioral health benefits. And again, it's for me, I feel like, because I'm a single mom too. I'm actually moving into divorce land. So
got you. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no worries. So for me, I have to prioritize my mental stability because I have so many. I have two little ones and an 18-year-old that depend on me to get up and do things. And it's not necessarily the material stuff. It's the mental capacity that I have to have to deal with appointments and doctors. So if we don't understand that we are important enough for that time, and sliding fee scale is a thing. Like you have to sit down and prioritize. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like if we could prioritize our kids getting to football practice and all of these things, then we can prioritize sitting down, going through a list, and seeing who can accept my insurance, who who has sliding fee scale. It's all about priorities. And I think as mothers, we fail in prioritizing ourselves. We would rather buy a PlayStation for our child than buy a bra for ourselves. So, so when we think about in the realm of imposter syndrome, it's the idea that I have to be perfect or I have to be this strong Black woman and I have to hold up everything on my own. But if that's the case, then we have to prioritize our mental health. Does that make sense? So if that's the idea and the mindset, then that mental health should be hand in hand with that. If so it's either one way or the other. Either we we adopt this mindset that we're perfect and we kind of move through that, or we understand that no, I'm not perfect. I do have struggles and issues, and I do I have the ability to talk to somebody, and I should talk to somebody, and have a network, even of mothers that I can talk to that can uplift me, and we can uplift each other. We can't do this in a vacuum or a bubble.
We can't. Absolutely. And I want to, when you said that, I just thought of, this is actually a cousin of mine. She probably would be falling over. She keeps putting her business out there, so she will remain nameless.
Anonymous.
Allegedly, I have a cousin.
Right.
and and I'll just say she's in a great career. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about it being a financial thing, but this person can
Mm-hmm.
clearly afford it. And I
Yeah.
remember she was going through a very stressful time, and she preferred to go to a psychiatrist, which I think, if you need a little help, okay, but even then, she still, she would talk about the medication, and she even talked about some of the side effects, which were not, 100% what she would want for,
Right.
they weren't the best,
Right.
but still she wouldn't go to a therapist. So in my head, I'm like, clearly you recognize that you need support right
Right.
now. And you're still not willing to talk about it. It's almost like it's more
Right.
susceptible to look at it as a medical issue that
Mm-hmm.
needs to be treated with medicine,
Right.
which I thought would be even more stigmatizing, but whatever. But heaven forbid you actually say, I'm struggling right now, and
Yeah.
speak with somebody,
Yeah.
recurringly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a cultural thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are other cultures like the Hispanic culture that looks at like depression as like some kind of medical mania, right? So it's
Uh-huh.
not
Uh-huh.
necessarily embedded in psyche as much as it's embedded with something going on with your body, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
something off
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we defer and I'm not pro psychotropics, but I'm not anti psychotropics, right?
Right.
So I believe
Right.
in every case is different. But it has been research backed and proven that a combination of both therapy, talk therapy, and medication is the most effective
Most
way
effective.
of,
Correct. Correct.
dealing with mental health issues. So
Mm-hmm.
if we're opting out of talking about it, then the question is why? Like, what
Why?
is it
Mm-hmm.
about this situation or what we're going through or that we're trying to avoid? Because the pill can only do so much and it
Mm-hmm.
can only go so far. But if we're
Mm-hmm.
popping the pill, but we're still dealing with the anxiety and the stress and we still don't know how to regulate our bodies, we still don't know how to regulate, our nervous system, then that pill is going to be for naught. And then you're going to go back in
Mm-hmm.
front of your psychiatrist and be like, well, this is not working for me. Can we
Mm-hmm.
up our dose? And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be this constant wheel of,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
medications. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it's like at the root of it is you need to process some stuff and you
Some
need to talk
stuff.
about your stuff.
Period.
In addition to taking the medication.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do we get there? Because I mean that's so we're talking to people who might even find it challenging to even sit through this whole episode. Let's be honest, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be less than an hour.
Yeah.
Um, how do we help our community understand? Like, can you help us like come up with maybe a routine or a mindset shift, something that will let our Black women know, first of all, we see you and we are
Mm-hmm.
trying to get in front of you. This is free.
Yeah,
Listening to my show
absolutely.
is free. Listening to your show is free.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you really want to help us out and help other people, leave a comment so that we could
Mm-hmm.
work, so that we can reach more people. But
Absolutely.
how can how can they start? How can we
Yeah.
start?
Yeah, I just really think that if we don't feel like we deserve better, we won't look
Mm,
for better.
mm,
And
mm,
going along with the imposter syndrome mindset, right? If it's
mm,
a feeling that I feel like I'm a fraud, that I'm not good enough anyway.
mm,
So
mm,
if we have a overall feeling about ourselves that we're not good
mhm,
enough to succeed or do better, then we
mhm.
are going to stay stuck and stagnant
Oh
in
my
this
goodness.
space.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And typically it's not until like we crash out or something happens like really bad to the point where we're like, oh, well, maybe I need some help. That's a
Mhm,
reactive response. We need to be more
mhm,
proactive. And
mhm,
so again, it's all about prioritization. Like,
mhm,
you know, I mean, I don't know if there's any like cure for that. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm,
I just feel
mhm,
like as a woman, as a mother, like if you don't think you deserve like peace or
mhm,
calm or
mhm,
anything better than what you're getting, then you're not going to strive for that.
mhm,
One of the things I tell my clients is, there's two type of mindsets that we're looking at. We're looking at like you're either ego dystonic or ego syntonic. So
mhm,
ego
mhm.
dystonic is the
Please break that
mindset.
down.
Yeah. Yeah, these are my licensure exam words.
That's there we go. There we go. She's got her receipts, y'all.
Right. Like, yeah, and I passed on the first try. So
there you go. Boom.
Oh, but these two words really stuck with me because it has actually helped to guide me into understanding the people that sit in front of me. So if you're ego dystonic, then that means that there is a misalignment between who you are and what you do. So intrinsically, you feel like, and because the root of that is ego is the mind, and then dysfunction. So I understand there's a dysfunction in me. Like there's something going on that's not right. And so these are the people, like internally, I feel that way. So these are the people that will seek out therapy more often because it's like, I don't like what's going on with me. So it's not going to be external validation, right? They're not going to look at, well, mama said, and my husband said, and it's going to be like, no, I don't feel right, right? So those are the ones that are more than likely going to seek out help, be consistent, show up every time because they don't want to be this way, right? Now, there are other people that are egocentric. So when we look at that, sync is the root of that. So I'm aligned with everything that I'm doing. I have no distress. Like, I'm good.
Got you. Love it.
I'm good, right? And so it doesn't matter how many people come in and be like, girl, you might need to, or you might want, I'm good. What you talking about?
Right.
It's lovely over here.
Right.
They're not going to get any help.
They're not going to get it.
And when I get people in that are egocentric, because I can't work with egocentric people.
No.
I'm like, why are you here? Like, what are we doing? When you get people in there and they're just like, well, I'm just here because my friend said, I was like, well, what do you think? Like, how do you feel about it? Yeah, I don't really see a problem, ma'am. There's no reason for you to be here.
There's nothing, you can't do anything.
You have no internal motivation. So if there's no internal motivation, you have no internal, like, if you don't feel uncomfortable when you do things or say things, or when stuff come out of your mouth, you're like, oh, maybe I should have brought that back. If that's not there, then you're not going to want to get help. So I think it's more of a lack of self-awareness and also a lack of action, because you can be very self-aware and know that you're not right and just sit on that. Be like, well, and make up all the excuses in the world. But if you have the self-awareness, if you know that something's not right, but then you also are like, okay, I need help to get where I need to go. And you have like some goals and some plans in place. Like you want to start a business, or you want to graduate from college, or you want to be, a better wife or a better mother, or whatever the case may be, then you're going to be more motivated. So I think what we're seeing now, unfortunately, is we're living in a world where we're in a space on social media where people are looking for external validation for food. They're looking for somebody to say, oh, you're right with that. Like that's
right. They don't want to be held accountable.
Right, exactly. And so when they hear the opposite of that, they're clicking off. Oh, I can't do it. Stressing me out, right? And
not only that, people who are on platforms like what we're doing, who don't have the training and don't have the resources, or a lot of times are doing this because maybe they're more popular, or they know how the algorithm works better and can therefore have more followers, and they're kind of just diluting. And I'm not knocking coaching, because I personally believe there's benefits to both. But what you're saying is very, very true. I mean, we're getting a lot of yes men. But one thing it seems like you're touching on too, though, is vulnerability. And I know for Black women, sometimes they don't feel safe. So they might know inherently that they have a problem, something they want to work on, but they might not feel comfortable. I mean, historically, again, or environmentally. I mean, for somebody who, let's say, you're in a relationship and you're vulnerable and you get your heart broken. Well, it might be a little bit harder to jump out there and talk about some of the personal issues when you've already had bad experiences with that.
Absolutely. And I totally get that. And that's another thing that I think we kind of need to reframe, because historically, I think for us as a people, vulnerability has always been, vulnerability equals victimization, right? So if I let you in on what's going on with me, then you're going to betray me, or you're going to take advantage of me. And that's in the healthcare system, that's in social systems, that is everywhere, right? If I let my guard down, then something bad's going to happen to me,
Mm-hmm,
right? I
mm-hmm,
always got to
mm-hmm.
keep my head on a swivel,
Got
right?
to. Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that we have to be very discerning, right? We don't tell everybody our business, but then we
Mm-hmm,
don't keep our business to ourselves all the time, right? So you
mm-hmm,
have
mm-hmm.
to, and with therapy, it's so many therapists out there, right? We are a saturated system.
Yes, we are.
But we have to do the research. And
Mm-hmm,
one thing I can say honestly, as much as I love Black women and Black
mm-hmm,
therapists in the Black therapy space, my,
mm-hmm.
my first therapist was an old white woman, and she was great.
Me too. Me too. A lot of it's because of this platform, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm just, and I find a lot of us, like, we kind of divert from other
Mm-hmm,
cultures
mm-hmm,
as
mm-hmm,
therapists, because it's like you're the only one that knows my
mm-hmm,
situation. I
mm-hmm,
may not, right?
mm-hmm,
Everybody's
mm-hmm,
situation is different. I
mm-hmm,
can empathize based on
mm-hmm,
similarities, right?
mm-hmm.
But as far as, like, in my situation, I was raised by an alcoholic mother. My
Mm-hmm.
therapist was raised by an alcoholic father. So she
Got you.
understood the
She understood.
unpredictability
Mm-hmm,
of the
mm-hmm,
household, right? So,
mm-hmm,
but if
mm-hmm,
I just kind of went for all things Black, and it's like,
mm-hmm,
you don't understand, like, why
mm-hmm,
my nervous system is so strained, or why I'm
mm-hmm,
anxious and I can't, I move and I
mm-hmm,
jump like I
mm-hmm,
do, or I
mm-hmm,
can't, like, maintain consistent relationships
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because I have this disorganized attachment
mm-hmm,
style. You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I just want to encourage us as a people to be more open minded. Yes,
mm-hmm,
do your research, like check, check, recheck, do all the things that you need to do, but don't close yourself off.
mm-hmm,
Don't
mm-hmm,
keep the mindset that I only want a Black therapist, or I only want a male therapist, or whatever the case may be. I have Black clients, I have white clients, I have male
mm-hmm,
clients, I have female clients. Like, I
mm-hmm,
don't restrict myself, because for me, I love the experience. Like, I
mm-hmm,
want to it, I get engrossed in the stories and the experiences of other
mm-hmm,
people. So
uh-huh.
you'd be surprised how similar you are
Yeah,
to other
absolutely,
people. But
absolutely.
just because you can't find a Black therapist in your
Mm-hmm,
area, like, widen your search a little bit. Do your
mm-hmm,
research.
mm-hmm,
Like, go
mm-hmm.
on Google reviews. Like be a little bit more proactive and a little bit more, open to the experience of therapy. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like,
Right,
it
right.
is what it is. But if we just kind of limit ourselves to one thing or one kind, or one,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not helpful, so that's
I
that's my view of it.
I appreciate that so much. And thank you for that transparency because I think a lot of times people think that if they say that, then you're kind of pushing away referrals. But I believe if we were
Mm-mm.
all open and
Yeah,
honest and we would get, who we need to be, the people who need to
absolutely.
find us can find us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a wide
Um,
net, right?
it's very wide. It's very wide. Um, I'm just thinking about actually, my therapist is actually a white male, and it's
Yeah,
for similar reasons because I
yeah.
believe that, at least with him, I kind of expect him not to know. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so when I'm explaining, for one, he's more curious. He can
Mm-hmm.
hear it from my perspective. I don't have
Yes.
to assume that anything.
Yes.
And so I think that, when you're looking for a therapist, focus on competence.
Absolutely.
Competence, because yes, there's a
Absolutely.
lot of woke non-black therapists, and then there's a lot of black therapists who are very reserved and
Yes.
not woke.
Yes.
I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
And not welcoming
Not
at
welcoming.
all.
Not
Yeah.
welcoming. That
Yeah.
is very true. That is very
Yeah.
true.
Absolutely.
Um, what are some common themes that you're seeing amongst the clients that you serve that you think you could kind of address in a more holistic way?
Yeah, it's funny, because it's like, in a given week, I can have the same conversations with different people, and I guess that's just
Mm-hmm.
alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes, there
what,
you go. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I guess what I'm seeing currently, just kind of in a general, like, overview,
Mm-hmm.
relationship issues with family of origin, like,
Mm.
specifically the differences between millennials and Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
Gen X
Mm-hmm.
being the parent, millennials being the child,
Mm-hmm.
and just the generational gaps that are
Mm-hmm.
there. And a lot of millennials are wanting to disconnect from their family of origin totally. They're putting very firm, well, it's not even firm boundaries, it's just avoidance. Let's just call it what it is.
What it is, right? I don't want to talk to you.
Right. But when you say, I have really firm boundaries, no,
right,
you just cut them off.
Basically.
Let's call it what it is.
Right,
like, I appreciate you using your words, but
right.
no. So yeah, I'm seeing that a lot, and just kind of identifying like the differentiation of self, like identifying who I am apart from this system. And that, like you spread the net out a little bit more, who I am apart from this culture, who I am apart from this gender, like, just like what we were saying, like there are some African Americans who don't fit the profile of the culture of African American, and so these people struggle, if they're highly educated, highly intelligent, well spoken. Oh, you're a sellout, and I see this with Black women, like they're very intelligent, very, well spoken, very well educated, and they don't fit into the space of what a typical, or at least what we're seeing stereotypically on TV as the Black woman. And so they struggle with that identity. And so we have to kind of identify, okay, pull that out, or like, okay, so let's just be comfortable with you. Why do we have to have these definitions as far as, what's Black and what, what's real, or what woke or whatever. But yeah, just kind of seeing these transitions and changes as far as who I am, honestly, like who am I apart from all of these things, all of these systems, and how do I navigate this new identity? And that work, in and of itself is beautiful work to see as people kind of evolve and change and understand who they are at the core. But it's difficult when people have to set actual boundaries and limits and say, I'm not going to go along to get along anymore. And you see that disruption in the system and that disconnect from people because they're like, oh, you're healing. I'm healing now. And I'm looking at you like you weren't the best, person to me. You weren't the best friend to me. You weren't like a really, effective parent. And so it's like, okay, now, who am I apart from all of that? So it's just, I don't know. It's just a lot of all these, I guess people are just losing themselves and they're just trying to find them. They're trying to find themselves again.
We are. So you mentioned something earlier that I think is really important to revisit, and it's that one reason we don't maybe talk more about the problems that are happening in our families because there's a fear of social services or just this like a lack of trust of the system. But as a result, our family systems remain, I think, stagnant. There's roles that people have to fit in that maybe they don't necessarily feel like they can't even break out of. I mean, I even thinking about my own family, don't get me wrong, I understand respect and the appropriateness of just playing, I guess, the role, whatever that means. But it's almost like sometimes people feel like they have to be two different people. One that comes home on the Sundays with the family after church or for the holidays or the weddings and funerals, and then you're completely different. And a lot of times, what do you say to that? Like if you have to pretty much put on a whole new face just to communicate with your family, what does that mean for a person's development or sense of self or how they show up in the world outside of their family?
And that's interesting you mentioned that because I actually had a client who struggled with that as well because she did have an abusive family system and she still had to interact with them on an adult level. And so she was trying to figure out, okay, how do I present to them in a way that is authentic yet I have the boundaries in place. And so what I explained to her was that not everybody has to have full access to who you are. Like we don't show up to our jobs as, who we are after 10 o'clock at night in the
Mm-hmm,
club. Like
mm-hmm,
those are
mm-hmm.
two
That's true.
different,
Good
those are two
point.
different,
Good
you know what
point.
I mean?
Mm-hmm,
So it's
mm-hmm,
like you have to understand the audience, you know, who you're dealing with. So
mm-hmm,
it's not that you're fake and phony, you're just reserving your energy emotionally because some people like, you know, going off on them and you know, you're upset and you're distressed and they
mm-hmm,
feed off of that.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
if I know that I have a mom who's like super religious and, you know, like, you know, we got to go to church and I will do that for her, you
Uh-huh,
know,
uh-huh.
to maintain that relationship,
Mm-hmm,
to keep my distress down, right? So it's
mm-hmm,
not
mm-hmm,
necessarily for her, it's more for my peace. Like
mm-hmm.
everything ain't got to be an argument.
Right,
Everything ain't got
right,
to be a
right,
debate. You
right,
know what I mean?
right.
If I got to
Mm-hmm,
sit in church for 2 hours and amen and
mm-hmm.
hallelujah for you,
Right,
and then when
right,
I go home, take it off and put on my
right.
set or
There we
whatever,
go.
be outside,
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, I get
okay.
it. I
It's
get it.
okay.
I
You
get
know,
it.
it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand, you know, pick your battles, right? Everything doesn't have to be a battle. And at the end of the day, reserve your peace.
Your
Keep your
piece
emotional energy, like be yourself to those people who accept you. Because
to
now everybody's
accept
going to
you.
accept you in your
No, they're
fullness, and
not.
that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But I'm not going to keep trying to impose my trueness and my authenticity on people who don't understand that.
Who
You
are
know what I
committed
mean?
to
Like,
misunderstanding
and
you.
so
Mm-hmm,
I'm not
mm-hmm,
going to do that. So if that
mm-hmm,
means that I have to show up a little bit differently for my parents
mm-hmm,
than I do
mm-hmm.
for my besties, it is what it
So
is,
be it.
right?
Mm-hmm,
I mean, it is
mm-hmm.
what it is. But you know, some people just can't take your fullness, and your
They
light is too
can't.
bright. So if
Mm-hmm,
your light
mm-hmm.
is too bright, sometimes you gotta crank it down, but crank that mug
Uh-huh.
up for everybody else. They can
There you that
accept it.
part.
You know what
That
I mean?
part. I love
Yeah,
it. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, that is good. I love that. I love that. You just spoke to my soul too, because I'm not your client, but I have had that issue. I still struggle with that issue.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
and it's
that is
okay.
so important. It is okay.
It's
It is
okay. It's, you know,
okay.
you got to reserve some things,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that goes back to the vulnerability. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
is not going to receive your vulnerability and your authenticity and your
Mm-hmm.
honesty the same way. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of just spreading it all out like peanut butter to everybody,
Right,
like
right,
like
right.
understand who you're dealing with and what
Mm-hmm.
their emotional capacity is, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody
Mm-hmm.
can't deal with, you know, heightened emotions or even emotional expression or emotional
Mm-hmm.
intelligence. Some people like, okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
Next time you
Yeah.
ain't gonna hear it.
You
You
ain't
know,
here. Right, right, right.
I'll keep it on mute. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like
Right,
it's
right.
cool. And I see that a lot. People have like different categories of friends. Where I say this friend, I can talk about this to this friend, and that's perfectly
That's
fine.
perfectly
Just
okay.
don't spread it out to everybody because that's going to cause you to feel hurt and pain because you're
Mm-hmm,
like, well,
mm-hmm.
why can't they accept me for who I am? Because everybody ain't supposed to.
Yeah, no, they're not. No, they're not. Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody's not designed
Wow.
to. Yeah,
Mm-mm. And that's okay. That is
absolutely
okay.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely okay. Yeah. And I tell my clients all the time, like the personality that I am, what you see is what you get. This is how I am with my clients. I say, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not for everybody. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
everybody's cup of tea, and that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. There
Mm-hmm.
are a myriad of therapists and counselors you can pick from.
That you can
If we
pick.
don't
Yeah.
vibe, that's
Right.
fine. Like it
Right.
doesn't hurt my
Right.
feelings. I release you and
Right.
bless you in
Right.
peace. But
Love
we, you
it.
know, if you coming in, this is what you're gonna get.
This is
So,
what
you
you're
know,
gonna get. Well, this is
have yourselves
great.
in. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. That's all I can tell you.
Which is refreshing because I think a lot of people look at therapy as, especially in our communities, a
Mm-hmm.
white, thing that is not for us. But we're like,
Right.
you're telling us no, not only is it for us, but you can be you and you can let your hair down and be
Yeah.
comfortable and you use language that
Yeah.
we can understand,
Yes. Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Enhanced by
Absolutely.
your licensure level training as
Yes.
well. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
I'll throw in
don't
an
forget that.
acronym every now and again.
Yes,
I'll throw in
yes.
one of those book words every now and again
Right,
where I can break
right,
it down for you and explain it to you
right,
so that you know in layman's terms. But at the end of the day,
right.
that even shouldn't be a barrier.
It
Like,
shouldn't.
you
It
know, just
shouldn't.
show up, be yourself, and if
Mm-hmm.
y'all don't vibe again, pick again. Just
Pick again.
pick another one. It's okay.
Pick
Okay.
again.
It's okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Nobody's strapping you to the chair, baby. Get up and
Right.
go and find somebody else.
Right.
It's all good.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, Maricia, this has been a pleasure. I mean, before we go, is there any, like, if there was just one thing that you wanted our clients to be able to take away, what would that be?
Just be you.
Be you. Love it.
Just be you.
Love
We
it.
have so many fake and phony people in this world. My God.
Yep. I said, be you. Everybody else is taken.
Just be
Be
you.
you.
Like just show up as yourself. Be goofy, be silly, be profound,
Mm-hmm.
be beautiful, be just and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning about me. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that who I am is again not appropriate for everybody, but there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong
Mm-hmm.
with me.
No,
And
it's
there's nothing wrong
not.
with y'all.
Right.
There's nothing
Right.
wrong with y'all.
Right. That
Just
part.
ain't met the right audience yet.
That part. That part. That part.
So yeah, just be
Wow.
yourself. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We need authenticity, man. We need
Mm-hmm.
realness
Mm-hmm.
in this world. So let's do it.
Right.
Just be
Right.
ourselves.
Well, I like you, and I want to,
Thank you.
and I want
I
to
want to
thank
come
you.
back.
Yes, please, please. We will do this again anytime.
Yes.
But thank you for bringing you to us.
Yes.
Now, for the people who are listening to you and think that you are for them, can they
Mhm.
find you at yourpeacecounseling.com?
Correct.
And then what is your YouTube channel name?
Peace and mind counseling
All
on
right,
YouTube.
peace of
Yep.
mind counseling. So we will definitely make sure we put that in our notes so that our
Yes.
people can find you.
Absolutely.
And again, I just want to thank you. It's been a pleasure, okay,
I
having you here
appreciate you
today.
so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
spreading the good news of the gospel of
Yes,
therapy.
yes, there we go. I love it. I love it. All right, everyone, that concludes our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes.
We appreciate having you here and come back anytime. All right,
Absolutely.
peace and blessings.
Bye.
Dr. O.